Do you guys remember when we talked about Jungkook's stolen HYBE shares? At the time, the media said something striking, like the real culprit behind Jungkook's account theft has not been found. Given that the perpetrator knew his account ID and even his banking passwords, it's possible that someone close to him was involved. A securities official added, it looked like they knew all of Jungkook's financial information. They even attempted cash transfers, not just stock moves. Now, back then, HYBE antis and haters jumped on that line, insisting that the theft must have been an inside job, that HYBE employees were somehow behind it. Well, guess what? The real criminal has now been caught and arrested in South Korea. So in this video, we're going to talk all about it, who this person is, and what happened to Jungkook and all that. Okay? It'll be interesting. So when news broke on August 24th, 2025, that the leader of a massive hacking organization had been arrested and extradited to South Korea, the headlines quickly turned global. Why? Largely because one of the victims named was BTS Jungkook. The man at the center of the story is a Chinese national, identified only by his surname, Chun, 34 years old. According to South Korean authorities, he was running a cybercrime syndicate out of Thailand and other countries, targeting wealthy individuals in Korea, including corporate chairmen, startup founders, and celebrities. And among them was BTS Jungkook. His group allegedly hacked into local websites and telecom companies in Korea, stealing personal information like names and national ID numbers. And with that data, they fraudulently opened mobile phone accounts and gained access to financial and, in some cases, cryptocurrency accounts. Over several months, from August 2023 to January 2024, authorities estimate the group siphoned off more than 38 billion Korean won, which is roughly around 27.5 million US dollars. Now, South Korea's Ministry of Justice, working with Seoul's police force, Interpol, and Thailand's authorities, tracked down this man. And in April 2005, after receiving intelligence that he had entered Thailand, they filed what is known as an emergency extradition request, 긴급 인도 구속. Okay? And this procedure allows a country to ask another government to detain a suspect before formal extradition paperwork is completed, ensuring that the suspect doesn't slip away. And within 2 weeks, Thai officials had him in custody. And after months of coordination, including on-site negotiations in Bangkok, he was finally flown back to Seoul on August 22nd. And 2 days later, the Seoul Central District Court issued a detention warrant, citing fears that he might destroy evidence or flee. Okay? So that's the gist of the story. Now let's talk about Jungkook again. Like I said, among the many victims of the scheme was BTS youngest member, JK. Now, the timing made the case all the more horrible. Why? Because the theft occurred in January 2024, just after he enlisted in the military and was at basic training. The hackers opened 3 securities accounts under Jungkook's name without his consent and used them to unlawfully move and sell his stocks, according to the articles written back in March. Okay, a total of 33,500 HYBE shares were illicitly transferred without Jungkook's knowledge or approval, and 33,000 shares, valued at approximately 8.32 billion Korean won, based on the January 5th closing price of the HYBE stock, they were moved to a newly created account in Jungkook's name, and 500 shares were sold to a third party. 500 shares worth about 126 million Korean won. Now, Jungkook later filed a civil lawsuit demanding the shares be returned. In February 2025, return from the third party. So in February 2025, the Seoul Western District Court ruled that no valid stock transfer agreement had been made and that Jungkook was a victim of identity theft. So the court ordered the third party to return the shares to Jungkook, ruling that since the shares were transferred under stolen identity, the buyer had no legal right to keep them. Now, the third party argued that they had acquired the shares in good faith, which is a legal principle that protects parties who unknowingly engage in transactions with illegitimate sellers. But the court still rejected this claim by stating the third party proceeded with the transaction after hearing only that the shares belong to a major shareholder without properly verifying the account holder's identity. This constitutes gross negligence. In other words, the court rejected the buyer's claim of good faith purchase, pointing out that he had failed to properly verify the transaction. The third party had paid 20,000 USDT, which is Tether cryptocurrency, stablecoin, in advance to the perpetrator when purchasing the shares. And the buyer appealed the court decision, but they later withdrew the appeal in March 2025, finalizing the court's ruling. Now, Big Hit Music confirmed at the time that they had taken immediate steps, such as freezing the hacked account to prevent further loss. And they also pledged to strengthen data and device security to protect their artists in the future. But like I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, at the time, the actual person responsible for the account theft has not been identified. And the media said, given that the individual had access to Jungkook's securities accounts, ID, and banking passwords, investigators believe someone close to him may have been involved. A source from a securities firm commented, it appears the perpetrator had access to all of Jungkook's financial information. There were even attempts to transfer cash in addition to the stocks. But what did we just say? Yeah, it turns out it was just random hacker. For fans, the revelation was shocking because throughout the ordeal, Jungkook showed no outward signs of distress. If anything, he was very super calm and patient and always thinking about the fans. So in January 2024, just days after his HYBE shares were stolen, Jungkook graduated from basic training in the military and wrote a short message on Weverse. 단결, which means unity or salute in the military terms. Okay, this was January 17, 2024. By March, as a civil case over the stolen HYBE shares was unfolding, JK was back on Weverse, writing cheerfully about cleaning duties, cooking, and missing his fans. He wrote, "Army, are you doing well? I'm doing well too. I've been working out diligently. I even cleaned all the way up to the ceiling. Did a great job, if I say so myself. I'm also cooking well. It's already mid-March. I will come back to visit again soon. I miss you very much. 단결, salute." And April 14th. Since I can't brag about myself right now, I'll brag about my baby instead. Hope you all have a fun night. Bow wow bam. 단결, salute. Bow wow bam, as you know, is Jungkook's lovely puppy. Okay, and moving on to June 1st. Jun Hyung's album is so good, referring to RM's RPWP album, Namjoon. He said he worked so hard. Jungkook said he worked so hard. I really miss the members and ARMY. June 7th, ARMY, did you receive the song gift okay? Haha, I hope you liked it. From the start, I worked on it while thinking about you. You might feel like the hook repeats a little long, but that's because it was originally meant to be a dance track in the house genre. A performance song, really. But I couldn't make that happen due to time constraints. I really wish I could turn back time and record it somehow. So I wanted to leave this message in hopes you would understand that part. I've been scolding myself for it. Oh. Anyway, I can't believe it's already the 11th anniversary, haha. Thank you as always for being by my side. Please stay healthy and don't get sick. And by that, he's referring to Never Let Go, which is a song released June 7, 2024 to celebrate the BTS Festa 2024. Now, September 1st, he wrote, "Thank you so much for all the birthday wishes. ARMY, I'm doing well. I'll make sure to finish my remaining service strong. I hope ARMY is doing well too." Oh, it's been a year already. Wow, time flies. September 17th, wishing you a happy Chuseok. October 16th, Jin, J-Hope, I hope you find happiness in the things you weren't able to do before. You worked so hard. Talk about the Hyungs who got discharged from the military first. December 18th, knock knock, is everyone doing well? Are you healthy? Don't get sick. Eat well. I miss you. January 8th, I'm a bit late with New Year's greeting. Hello, this is Jungkook, haha. It's the year I'm discharged, the year I get to meet ARMY again. But even so, I don't feel like much has changed inside. As always, I'm just filled with the same feeling of missing you. There's not much to reflect on just yet. I'm simply continuing to wait. If there's anything I want to hurry and do, it's just to take time to grow, to learn new things, and to prepare many things for ARMY. Time seems to be passing quickly. I hope it speeds up even more. And then February 15th. ARMY, are you all staying healthy? The weather seems like it's getting warmer, then suddenly cold again. It feels a lot my emotions these days. Today in particular, the air feels especially gloomy. I still have some time left to serve, but lately I find myself getting into little arguments with myself more often. It's one of those nights where I have a lot on my mind. Sometimes I imagine what it would look like if I took a photo with ARMY right now. When I do, I catch myself smiling and it makes me feel warm inside. But sometimes I also wonder, will it just stay as a memory in my imagination? Still, I try to shake off even that doubt because I believe we'll make even more beautiful memories together. Of course, I'll have to work hard to make that happen. Haha. And never forget that it's all of you who hold the pen to the story I've been writing with my life. That will never change. And then March 9th, the weather's finally starting to warm up. Haha, at last. And it was this March 2025 when we heard about the case through the media. So, yeah, especially the final message. I mean, the message before we knew about the case. It's kind of meaningful on some levels. Anyway, Jungkook's calm and steady tone, even while dealing with a crime that involved millions of dollars and his personal identity, left many fans, many ARMY impressed with his resilience. At least that's what it did to me. And here's where things get even bigger. Jungkook's ordeal wasn't just a freak accident. South Korea has been hit repeatedly by major telecom breaches. Like in 2005, this year, SK Telecom admitted hackers had stolen data from as many as 27 million users, including SIM authentication keys. And that kind of information is exactly what criminals use to hijack accounts and impersonate victims. And in 2023, LG U+ also suffered a massive breach after a series of cyber attacks, exposing hundreds of thousands of records. And going further back, KT and SK Communications were also breached, leaking tens of millions of people's data. So in a country where telecom providers are tied into everything, banking, identity verification, even government services, a single breach can ripple across society. And for ordinary citizens, it means like spam calls and phishing attempts. But for celebrities like Jungkook, it means their private numbers and financial accounts can become direct targets. And that brings us back to something that both Jungkook and Jimin mentioned on Weverse Live not long ago, pleading with people to stop calling and texting their phones. I'm pretty sure you remember this, but let's briefly watch it again.
또 달라 하노. 그래 좀 인증번호 이런 거 좀 그만 보내주면 좋겠어요. 그만해라. 우리 정보 다 아는 거 아는데. 그만해라. 뭐 우리 뭐 정보 이제 캐낼게 못하는 거. 그만해라. 막 그냥 이제 연락도 그만해라. 하지 말라. 하지 말라.
Yeah, even though they made it, tried to make it sound funny, that's terrible. They said, who's trying to hack my ID again? Seriously, please stop sending verification codes and stuff. Stop it already. You'll probably know all our info by now anyway. What else is there to dig up? There's nothing left. So just stop, seriously, and quit trying to contact us too. Just don't. Please, just don't. Now, to many fans, that probably sounded like, 사생's over-enthusiastic, zealous fans somehow found their numbers. But, as it turns out, here in Korea, it's often the result of systematic leaks. And once data is stolen in a breach, phone numbers can circulate endlessly through spam rings, black markets, and yes, sometimes into the hands of people who thinks it's harmless to call. And for the artist, though, it's invasive and exhausting. Like the same hacking ecosystem that stole Jungkook's HYBE shares is part of why his phone and Jimin's too, and many other HYBE artists, BTS and HYBE artists, keep ringing with unwanted calls and texts. Now that this hacker, Chun, has been extradited and arrested, Korean authorities are calling it a success story in global cooperation against cybercrime. According to the Ministry of Justice, officials were in constant contact with their Thailand counterparts and even dispatched a special delegation of prosecutors and investigators to Bangkok in July 2005. And there, they met face-to-face with Thailand's Supreme Prosecutor's Office and National Police Agency to negotiate the method and timing of Chun's transfer. And thanks to the direct coordination, he was sent back to Korea only 4 months after the government filed its emergency extradition request. Hold on.
Extradition.
Yeah, I was right. Anyways, which was an unusually swift turnaround for a case of this scale, according to the ministry. And the ministry stressed that this was more than just one arrest. It was a demonstration of how South Korea, working with international networks like Interpol and the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, could track down a crime boss operating abroad and bring him to justice. And officials called it a model case of how to respond to transnational crimes that cross borders and exploit weak links between jurisdictions. And the government says it doesn't plan to stop here, because just this August, the Ministry of Justice launched a new intra-agency task force dedicated to fighting overseas voice phishing rings and online fraud groups, crimes that have surged in recent years and caused enormous financial harm to ordinary citizens. The ministry pledged to mobilize all available government resources to root out these syndicates, promising to pursue them to the very end, no matter where they operate. But the deeper issue, I think, remains. Can South Korea, with this telecom-driven digital system, truly protect its citizens, famous or not, from hackers who exploit every weak link? And do you believe that this arrest really proves that Korea is winning the fight against cybercrime, or do you think this was just one lucky case the authorities could point to as a success story? And when the Ministry of Justice talks about launching new task forces and promising to pursue overseas hackers to the very end, does that reassure you? Or does it sound like another big press statement that won't stop the next breach from happening? And what about the timing? Jun was extradited only 4 months after the emergency request, unusually fast. Do you think that reflects genuine efficiency, or does it raise questions about why other cases like voice phishing and data leaks seem to drag on without results? Maybe this was because this particular case has something to do with the victims being wealthy people. And I'm sure that the Ministry of Justice was able to use this as, to push their agenda, saying that they're doing a great job because one of the victims was Jungkook. And that's how we got to know the case more closely. Well, we'll have to see. Hopefully, this never happens to the people whom we care about, whom we love, or to ourselves even. In fact, I hope this just never happens in anywhere. But we'll have to see. All right, so with that, I'll close. Let me know what you think about this whole case by writing comments. But when you do so, let's stay positive, respectful, and classy. Thank you guys. Peace, love. Bye bye.